Hi there. In this video, I want to simplify how to get everything that you want in life. It's a very, very simple framework. It's two parts: clarity and removing obstacles. Yeah, I think that's right. So, what I'll say is that I have always had big desires. I've wanted to be happy. I've wanted to live a life that was enjoyable and felt resonant. Even if I didn't have those words at the time, that's what I was going for. And I started out doing what everyone else does, which is pursue something external, right? I had all of this messaging kind of coming my way when I was a kid about what's the best way to live a life that is happy and enjoyable and fulfilling, right? And the idea that I got was work a job that you really like, right? There was that quote that was very influential for me, which was, if you love what you do for work, you'll never work a day in your life, right? And so I was like, oh, that sounds great. And for a long time, I pursued my dream job. And then I got my dream job. I worked really hard, I got the job, and I was like, oh, my life is completely out of balance. Like, it's not just about the dream job, it's not just about the 9 to 5 work hours. Like, there's all these other things that are going wrong in my life. And so my life didn't feel fulfilling or resonant. So I got out of that. I got a different job that allowed flexibility. So my next idea was like, I just want flexibility. I want to get paid in kind of a way that I don't really have to worry about money, but also the job is kind of easy and it feels like I'm kind of retired. Like, that was my next idea, was let's live a life that I'm like kind of retired-ish, or I can live that kind of lifestyle with that flexibility and autonomy. Well, then I got a job like that, and I did that, and I started to work on the other stuff, my relationships with others, my hobbies. I started to kind of find myself. I got into therapy, and that was better, but I still was missing that like meaning, that drive, that passion, because every day I was doing something that I wasn't really passionate about. And that's when I was like, okay, so this isn't it either, right? I didn't have clarity at any point up until now, up until this point, that of like what I wanted. And what changed my life was the understanding that everything that I wanted externally was actually the pursuit of an internal experience. This book, Living Untethered, was extremely influential for me. I would highly recommend it if for anybody, but especially if you consider yourself like a rational person who wants to do things because there's reasons for it. This book makes a very good rational argument for embracing spirituality. And it honestly changed my life. But the change was understanding that the things that we're pursuing externally are ultimately attempts, they're strategies of feeling something internally. Because ultimately that's all we have, right? We are essentially a brain locked in a closet of a skull, and we have this sensory stuff coming in through our organs, through our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our nose, and our, touch sense. But we're not really experiencing anything externally except for the emotions that the body and the mind create. So hopefully you're still with me. I'll give you an example. When someone says that they are really going for the promotion at work, right? That's something a lot of people, especially my age, are working towards. They're like, I really, really want that promotion. If you ask them, if you kind of slow down and ask, well, why do you want that promotion? If you got that promotion, what would happen next? Like, kind of what's underneath that? It's always going to be some answer like, well, it would come with more money, and with more money, I feel like I would have more freedom. Okay, that's one example. Well, it would come with more PTO, and with more PTO, I would get to travel the world and have, awe-inspiring experiences, right? That's an internal thing that the promotion is going to help you get. The promotion, like working towards a promotion, is ultimately a strategy to getting the thing that you want internally, which is experiences of awe or experiences of flexibility and freedom and autonomy over your life. That's an example, right? But every time someone is pursuing something externally, it's actually, if you ask them, well, why do you want that? And keep asking why, it's always going to come back to an internal experience. And all people, generally, from what I believe and understand, we all kind of want the same stuff, right? We all want to feel peace. We all want to feel joy. We all want to feel loved and belonging, right? These are experiences. We all want to feel energized and like lit up and passionate and on fire, right? Alive. These are things that, you know, most people, when you kind of break it all down, we're all living our life doing the best we can, using the best strategies that we perceive in order to get basically the same stuff. So, but there are some differences, right? Some people have different preferences about what they're looking for. And that is what I'm talking about with step 1 of getting what you want in life, clarity. Okay? So what clarity means is being crystal clear and understanding exactly what it is that you want in life. So I'll have you think, you know, if you're watching this video, I'll have you think about what's a goal of yours, right? What's something that maybe you don't have right now that you want to have? Maybe it's a material thing like a house or a car. Maybe it is some sort of identity, right? It's I want a relationship. I want to be a husband, or I want to be a father, right? That's maybe a goal of yours. Those are kind of external things. And so when you break it down, and I want to ask you, when you have your goal in your head, why do you want to achieve that goal? Why is it important to you? What do you think will happen? What do you think that you will get to experience if you wake up tomorrow and this goal is achieved? What will be true about you then that's not true about you now? And so if we keep asking questions like this, we get to the bottom of what is it that you value? What is it that you want to be experiencing? Those are two different things, but clarity is the method, the kind of word for understanding exactly what it is you want. So for me in my life at this point, what I'm pursuing, my goal, is living a life that feels deeply resonant with who I am. And so I've come up with that wording over a long time. That's kind of what I've settled on. But to me, my clarity, kind of doing all these exercises, landed me in a place where I now have a very clear image in my head of like, I want to wake up feeling excited about something that I'm doing that day. I want to feel energized like almost all the time. I want to relate to my internal world in a healthy way, right? I want to treat myself with acceptance and love and care, right? I want to help others. I want to help others on this similar journey, right? I want to go and spend time doing things that I really enjoy and be present while I'm doing those things, right? So these are the experiences that I want. And there's plenty more, but like I have painted a picture in my head of what does my ideal day look like? What does my ideal week look like? What does my ideal year or decade look like, right? These are things that I do regularly, like just for fun, but the clarity piece is so important, because if you want to be moving towards what you want in life, you need to know exactly what you want in life, if that makes sense, right? Because a lot of us are kind of vague with our goals, right? It's like, well, I want to feel competent. I want to be confident. I want to be, I want to be accepted, or I want to be a part of a big friend group, right? Like, but if we really boil it down, it's really helpful to understand what are the internal experiences that I want. Because that way you can think of a million different strategies of how to get that need met, or how to get that internal feeling. So I'll leave that there for clarity. Then, once you have some clarity, once you understand not only what do I want, but why do I want that thing, then you can move to removing obstacles. So a lot of the time, what people do when they come up with clarity, they say, I want to be more in touch with myself. And my strategy to do that is going to be meditation. Okay, I'm going to meditate. I want to meditate, people say 10 minutes every day, right? The go-to strategy that people tend to use is willpower and self-discipline and being like, I'm just gonna make myself do it, especially men. I don't know if that's a fair statement, but because it's not a gendered issue, but in the kind of manosphere and just like talking to other men, like self-discipline seems to be basically the only strategy that people are using. So, what I'm here to say is self-discipline is kind of a bad system, right? Because if you mess up, now you're feeling worse about yourself, you're judging yourself, the thing didn't get done, and you're less motivated to do it tomorrow, right? Because that was just such a bad experience in general. What I instead would suggest that you think about is, why am I not already doing the thing, right? So if you have clarity about what kind of internal experience you want, I want you to ask yourself, why am I not already having that experience? What's stopping me from having that experience right now, right? So there's a reason you don't have the thing you want yet. And it's not necessarily your fault, but it is your responsibility. I'll slow down on that because that can be it's a big and important topic. But your results in life, kind of the reason that you're living the life that you are, it's not necessarily your fault, right? It can be easy to kind of point fingers and blame others and say, well, I'm in this situation because of XYZ and it was all out of my control, right? That makes us feel good as humans, like, hey, it's not my fault. However, if you want to get the things you want in life, it's an essential step to take full responsibility for how you are going to react to your circumstances, right? So your circumstances are not your fault, but it is your responsibility to respond to your circumstances, if that makes sense. What are you gonna do about it is your responsibility. So once you've accepted that responsibility, you can understand and kind of look at your current situation and say, why am I not meditating 10 minutes a day? Well, maybe I've never meditated before. I don't really know how to meditate. I don't really know how to, it's not on my calendar, right? I don't make time for it. I haven't prioritized it, right? Like there's all these things, and then it's like, if you remove the obstacles and or implement a new system that will work, right? If I do everything that's on my calendar. So if I add meditation to the calendar, it'll happen, right? That's a better system than willpower and beating yourself up if you don't do it, right? So that's the two-step process, basically. And I think there's kind of we discovered a middle part there. So we're gonna say, have clarity about what you want and why you want it. 2, take responsibility for getting that thing. That's the middle one that we found. 3rd, remove all obstacles within reason. Remove the reasons why you're not going in that direction right now. And that's basically it, right? So I've done that in my own life. I'll give an example. I had $100,000 worth of student debt coming out of college, and I graduated in COVID, so the payments were stopped, luckily. So I had all this time and this big $100,000, like that's a ton of money, hanging over my head, and it was stressful. And so I had clarity, which was, I want to pay this off as soon as possible. I hate the internal experience of having all this debt and worrying about it. And all I want is to be free of this debt. That's the internal experience I want, is like peace and freedom from this thing. So what's the strategy I'm gonna use? Well, I'm gonna pay it off. I'm gonna try to pay it off, right? And so that was the clarity that I needed. What's the problem? What's the real internal problem? And how do I fix it? Okay? What's my strategy gonna be? Then I took full responsibility. I was like, hey, whatever happens with this loan at this point is my responsibility. I'm not blaming the government. I'm not mad about the 7% interest rates. I'm not mad about, someone else is getting loan forgiveness and I'm not, right? Like, that's not helpful. None of that's helpful. The responsibility I took was I am going to pay all of this off as soon as I possibly can. So I didn't know how to do that. So I learned a bunch about personal finance and a bunch about how did other people pay off their student loans. How do you make more money than you need, right? So I took a job that maybe I didn't like as much, but it did pay better. And how do I keep my expenses low so that I can save more, ultimately pay off the loan? Okay, so I took responsibility. That was step 2. Then it was just about removing obstacles, right? The obstacle was I'm not making enough money. Okay, I'm gonna prioritize making more money. The obstacle was I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna learn, right? The obstacle was I don't have the money now, and it's like I am going to save a bunch of money, put a bunch of money in the account. And on the day that the interest started back up, which was about 2 years after I graduated, I was able to put $85,000 towards the $100,000 loan. And about 6 months later, I paid off the rest of it. And today I'm debt free. So, and that was, I graduated college 4 years ago. So that's just an example, okay? An example of having clarity, knowing exactly what it is you want and what you need to do, taking full responsibility, and then removing all obstacles in your way and replacing your current system that isn't really working with a system that does work better. So it takes a lot of refinement. It's not easy. A big important part is to be kind to yourself along the way as you kind of figure out what works for you. But in general, this framework has been super, super helpful for me to basically achieve whatever I want. And now the only thing restricting me is like my own imagination. Like as soon as I think of something, I use this system to make it into a reality. And that's what I help my clients do as well. And hopefully that's what I'm helping you do here as well. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.